Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 10th of April, comes to you from London. Dollar's still bearish on the short-term chart, so not much change there, and the euro is still bullish on the short-term chart, but long-term and medium-term bearish. The ECB announcement on rates today will be quite key for the euro. Looking at the yen, we see dollar is actually flat here, but still just slightly bearish, and sterling actually is weaker below that weaker dollar, so sterling even weaker. Brexit continues to reign over the currency, and we look at sterling against the euro, weaker here as well, still bearish short term. Taking a look at Bitcoin this morning, we see we're up a further 1%, so that's quite significant there, and that holding that 5,000 level that we broke last week. So the fact we're holding on to that is quite interesting. The S&P 500 index was down 0.6% last night. So that's a little bit of a weakening, but still bullish on the short and medium long-term charts. The Nasdaq actually also pushing higher. So we're seeing that we did have a bit of a sell-off last night, but on the whole, the recovery is still underway, so it's quite significant. And taking a look at the Dow, we're down 0.72% here as well, and then the Russell 2000 index also just selling off there, so not really enjoying the rise that we've seen in the blue chips. The future, the S&P future is up 0.2% this morning, and the Nasdaq E-mini up just under 0.2%. So it does suggest that the US market will open slightly higher. The UK market is up 0.06% this morning, so little change there. Midcaps up 0.17%. The DAX in Germany up 0.37%, and just been flat really the last few days, so no big sell-off there. And then looking at the CAC Courant, also quite flat. The Japanese market down 0.7% overnight. The Hang Seng little change, down 0.12%. The chart's still looking pretty good there, and the Chinese market still holding the gains. No, not a big move overnight, but still holding the gains. And the Indian market down 0.16%. Oz virtually unchanged overnight. Brent crude holds its gain, sitting at $70.89, just back below the $71 mark, but still looking pretty strong. WTI is looking at 64%, so that's looking still pretty strong as well. US nat gas going nowhere, sitting at $2.70. We've been around this area for quite some time. Gold is still holding the $1,300 mark. It was nudging 1305 yesterday, so it is just edging higher. And key thing is we're wandering long term into this bullish territory. Again, we need to just break that 1350 level to be convincing of a breakout. Silver also looking strong as well. US 10-year yields sitting at 2.49%, still short-term bearish. Taking a look at the individual stocks, we'll start by looking at the Dow Jones. Mostly down yesterday, as we could see. Caterpillar were down 2.5%, and Boeing, their woes continuing. They're just starting to test this March low. That'll be significant to see if we break that. But on the whole, the chart is looking pretty good on the long-term chart. But interestingly, we're seeing this relative breaking down as well. So it'll be interesting to watch. The best performer was Walt Disney. But most stocks were down. Looking at the Nasdaq, just looking at the main stocks in the Nasdaq, Apple was down 0.3%, still looking pretty strong though. Google, Alphabet, it was down as well, but the chart's still looking pretty good there too. Facebook was actually up by 1.5%. Their recovery really continuing, just breaking to new highs this week, Facebook. So really we're seeing multi-month highs. We haven't been at this level since the big fall last summer. And if we look at some of the other stocks, Tesla, their woes continue. They're down 0.3%. really starting to look pretty bearish on all three time frames with quite a lot of downside targets. So that is quite a worry for Tesla. The Aussie market was, as we said, flat. The best performer was Seven West Media. They were up 6%, but the chart's still looking pretty dismal. On the downside, we had Crown Resorts. They jumped yesterday, and then overnight they've retraced some of that jump back. So a lot of volatility creeping in there. China was mixed. In India, we have the top performer was Tata Motors again, up 4%. So their recovery is starting to look quite convincing, actually. We've got upside targets here of 44%, 39% Tata. The relative all starting to turn, so that is looking quite good. And 4.5% increase overnight is pretty strong. A lot of volatility in these Indian stocks. Looking at Wipro, we're down 2.2%, so not looking as strong there. And if we look on the other side, we've got Hindalco. They were down 3%, the worst performer, and the chart looking great. Live prices there coming in from Yahoo Finance. Taking a look at Europe now, just looking at the FTSE 100. The best performer is Mondi Group. They're up 1.3%. EasyJet up 1.25%, but the chart not looking good at all. And interestingly, we've got Tesco. They've got strong results out this morning. Chart actually has been making a gradual recovery there, so we are seeing Tesco just pushing higher there. They've outperformed the Dow by 10% so far this year. For a large cap like Tesco, that's pretty impressive. Reckitt Benckiser down 4.5%. And Morrison's not going up in sympathy with Tesco's down 1%. Their chart not looking so good at all. We see here the relative just trending down quite strongly. Taking a quick look at the FTSE 250, the best performer is Contour Global, up 3% this morning. Acacia Mining up 3.3%, looking pretty strong there as well. And if we look at the downside, Nvidia down a massive 57%. So they've really just plummeted this morning, so pushing to new lows, not looking great at all. And Funding Circle also falling away there. The Stocks 50, if we look at the Stocks 50 in Europe, the best performer, Anheuser-Busch InBev, the brewer, they're up 1.8%. So looking pretty strong there. Schneider Electrics in Paris also breaking into positive territory, pushing to new highs. Good upside target. Schneider looking actually pretty strong. On the downside, we've only got a handful of stocks down. Amadeus IT Group, but the chart looking okay. L'Oreal, also a great looking chart, but they're down slightly this morning. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.